Good morning, all. You are listening to the Morning Buzz, the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz. It is Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, and we have a great show full of news and entertainment. But let me introduce who I am with in the Zoom virtual studio. I am with my co host
Caitlin Aristizabal.
and
Isa Winek.
our sportscaster.
Hey, I'm Ben.
How are you all today?
Amazing.
Amazing. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. It is a nice Tuesday. I think it's going to get a little warmer today. I mean, we'll hear that in our weathercast in just a second, but I'm excited to be back with you all on this lovely Tuesday. And while we're talking weather and news, let's throw it right over to Isa with our newscast. Isa, what's going on in the world?
Well, good morning. Here's our latest news update for 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. For local news, Governor Phil Murphy announced last night, Monday, that he revealed a series of steps to gradually ease coronavirus restrictions now that the state's numbers have been improving.
This will spoilers, Isa, spoilers.
Well, yeah, of course, with me. This would include New Jersey size limits to outdoor gatherings to increase from 200 to about 500 people in the next 2 weeks, while capacity limits for large outdoor sports and entertainment venues will rise about 50%, and these changes will go into effect between May 15th and May 10th. Now, for national news, it was announced that former President Donald Trump will be staying in his Garden State Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey for the summer. The New York Post states that due to the hot weather, Trump is quote-unquote ditching his Palm Beach club Mar-a-Lago and traveling from the sifting Floridian summer to the cooler climates of New Jersey, where his advisors say that they're going to start doing more fundraising for his upcoming campaign, that he said this week he is beyond serious, quote-unquote, considering run for the 2024 presidential election. Now, for local news, as of this morning, the Biden administration vetoed New Jersey's major pipeline bill due to their new efforts on green technology and green innovation with their new Green Deal. The Penn East Pipeline Company versus New Jersey is a 116-mile-long pipeline between Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, approved this pipeline after 2 years of review that involved more than 200 meetings with public officials. Of course, officials were not happy with the veto and the disagreement with the national government, so the state will be having a hearing with the Supreme Court this Wednesday for further negotiations and final decisions. For weather here in Montclair, it is partially cloudy, but still quite beautiful outside with a high of 67 and a nice warm low of 52 with a 0% chance rain. Today we'll have about 21% humidity and a sunset about 7:49 p.m. And just for everyone out there who is currently suffering allergies, the pollen count will be a little higher and will be escalating throughout the day. So just be aware during the afternoon, it's supposed to be at the highest between about 1 to 3, but later on, well, currently in the morning and later on the evening, it's supposed to go down. This concludes your news update for April 17th, 2021 from WMSC. I'm Isa Winek, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you, Isa. Yeah, I feel like my allergies have been awful lately with all the pollen count. I don't know about you guys, but I feel that completely. But while we are just doing news, we have to, of course, go right over to our sportscast for our 2-minute warning with Ben. Ben, what's going on in the sports world?
I thought you'd never ask. I came prepared today. I had to really come sports ready. I got to bring the headband out.
Of course.
Yeah, this is serious for my 3 news stories. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so what happened yesterday is that the Orioles beat the Yankees 4-3 because the Yankees are still inadequate at playing baseball. And another news, speaking of baseball, my boy from San Diego, Fernando Tatis, has a cool statistic that over the weekend he hit 2 home runs on the same day his father hit 2 home runs a gajillion years ago. So That's a really cute moment. I mean, his father hit 2 grand slams in the same inning and has a record for that. So his father definitely did a better job. But still, it's a really cool record. And also, in other news, the draft is coming up this weekend. So it starts on Thursday and goes till Saturday. So if you have any of your picks, or if you are a fan of a team that's really bad, that's the night to to turn it around or get even more mad. So that'll be coming up soon, and that's about it going on in sports. All the good games are during the weekend, so I believe that the Monday person got handled that.
Well, thank you, Ben, for all those updates in the sports world.
Oh, absolutely, anytime. How are you, Amanda?
I'm great. I'm great.
You're you why do you have a tie-dye mask? It
Because
looks
I
like
have a tie-dye mask on,
it
Ben.
looks like you look like you're in that one middle school class. You're that student in middle school that wears way too many tie-dye shirts.
That's like Amanda's signature mask, though.
I wear this all the
It's
time.
that's fine, but never been a huge fan of tie-dye.
All right,
Ben,
well,
do you have something against tie-dye masks?
that's your opinion, Ben.
Why is your whole room blurry? I will go after all of you. Why is your room blurry, Issa? Looks like you're having this like dramatic moment in a scene
All right. Well,
where you're
before
just like,
Ben's
where have I been this whole time? Like that moment where you like realize what you're supposed to do in the movie,
Revelation.
your purpose of the movie, and like yeah, like this is your like your realization, and like you look like the camera's cutting into you for it.
All right, before Ben starts attacking everybody on the Tuesday
And
edition
now
of the Morning
Caitlin
Buzz,
on.
Caitlin, Issa was mentioning a lot of New Jersey updates for obviously New Jersey with COVID updates. So you want to share it with us?
Yeah, of course. So, big New Jersey news. Governor Murphy has decided to increase outdoor gathering limit to 500 people. It's currently at 200. So, just a lot of changes in outdoor sports, entertainment venues. Everything's going to be boosted to 50% starting May 10th. So, it's exciting, nerve-wracking, lots of different things. But this could really have a big effect on things like graduation and prom.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw the whole thing about prom, and I know a lot of schools are still like skeptical about doing prom or like how they're gonna do it. I saw some schools are doing like no dancing prom and like things like that. So like
Yeah, but
I
that's
hope this
crazy.
changes.
Like, what is a prom without dancing? I mean, in the
Dinner.
article he said,
Listen,
that's
not
so
all of us,
sad.
not all of us are adequate dancers, Caitlin. Some
What?
of
But
us like to
you
sit
have.
down.
All right, all right.
But
Well, you
how
have
does
to
that
still
work?
I'm just joking. I love dancing.
exactly, Ben.
Yeah, my question is, how would that kind of celebration work? No dancing? Like, is everyone just sitting? It's a formal event because there's no fun in that.
Exactly.
be
I
a
guess it would just
banquet.
be more formal. Like you
At
just
that
It'd
sit, you eat with your friends.
at that
It'd
point,
be
I
a
would have done
banquet.
what people did like last year when we couldn't do a prom at all, like, in which was like you get your group of friends that you know are safe, like that like stayed safe, and then you do like something in your backyard or you do something together, like, because then at that point, like, do you need to go to a school with like 300 people you don't know and dance? So you might as well
Yeah,
just do it with your friends and have fun and like actually not have to worry about anything and actually dance.
yeah.
I'm
But
just saying to my fellow Montclair people that are listening right now, I know this is pivotal information of how you would go about going to prom.
oh, okay. Well, if prom is outdoors, it's all good. But indoor
Yeah.
events are a little smaller. So indoor events like proms and weddings can operate at 50% capacity with a maximum of 250 people. So, and they're allowing dance floors. So that's fun. What is a wedding without a dance floor too? See,
Yeah,
you need a
that
dance floor at a
no
wedding.
point of a
That's
wedding if you
just
can't dance.
It's a
No.
wedding. That's a reception. What's a reception without a dance floor? There, I attack
oh,
Caitlin.
yes. Okay, that you're correct because that would be the ceremony
There,
is the wedding.
when is there a wedding and like while someone's talking like you may kiss the bride, there's someone on the dance floor just going, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, you know what's interesting to me though? They also said that carnivals and fairs in the state can operate at 50%, which is the same amount that Six Flags has been operating at. But like, why haven't we talked about carnivals and fairs? Is that just a seasonal thing because it's
I
getting
mean, because
warmer?
what carnival do you know that's usually happening in the middle of the winter?
Listen, the
Yeah, that's
carnivals that are
true.
intense.
I mean, like most carnival season and like fair season and like festivals are usually like late spring, summer, and then like early fall because like it's
Imagine
nice
like
out.
Imagine like toughing it out though through Carnival. Like, I want a fried Oreo so bad. We're gonna go in the winter. Like, that's so interesting.
I'm sure people like in other states that do like you're like, I'm gonna travel to like another state that like actually has fairs all year round and just go get my fried
Yeah,
Oreo.
that's true. Well, I only know the state fair, so I wonder if they're gonna do that. That's the only one I
I
know.
think they are. I heard something a few weeks ago that they're gonna try to power through it's the one that always happens in the Meadowlands, right?
Yeah,
That
that's
one,
where
I
I
think I
live.
saw that they're, oh, really? I
Mhm.
kind of learn something new every day. Yeah, I think it's supposed to still happen. It usually happens in July, I believe, and that's supposed to still happen this year. So that's
Yeah,
good.
it's a big summer thing. Wait, but I also wonder, like, because they're talking about outdoor events and stuff like graduation, right now, like Montclair's graduates can only have 2 guests. So I wonder if they're gonna update their policies and be like, maybe you're allowed 4, like
Okay.
originally.
I have a problem with the Montclair graduation as a graduate that's
Why?
coming soon with this because we got that alert. I don't mind the 2 people thing. That's fine. I figured that. My problem is so they separated it by college. So like I'm in the College of the Arts. So it's going to be all the College of the Arts. And I thought it was going to be everybody from the College of the Arts because a lot of my friends are in the common media, film majors and it's actually not going to be with them at all. I got my time on Saturday. My graduation's at 2 p.m. and I'm with the theater and dance, and then the other ones with the rest of the College of the Arts is going to be at 6 o'clock at night.
Oh, so they're doing it by like major
I
then?
guess so. They said it originally when we first got the message. It said the College of the Arts is June 12th. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to be with I'm going to see all my friends at the graduation. And then I got the time this past weekend and it said, hey, your graduation's at 2 p.m. And then I quickly messaged my friends and I was like, hey, what time is your graduation? And they're like, oh, 6 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, so they're
Is it
separating us
like
that way too.
is it separated just like theater and dance and then like
I
SCM? Or is it like
guess, but like,
special?
why did you even like split? Then why would you call it college? I don't know.
That's true. They should
Ladies and
have
gentlemen,
just
this is the
like
second
school
installment
communication.
of Amanda Rants, brought to you by 90.3 WMSU Upper Montclair,
I mean,
Tuesday edition
it's a
of
true
the
thing to
Morning
talk
Buzz.
about though, Ben, because I'm graduating and I'm sure it's happening to other people in other majors as well, in other colleges at the school that are like College of like Humanities, College of like Sciences and stuff like that. Like they're going to probably be separated as well. And it's just something to note. I'm sure I mean, I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but I'm sure nursing is separated than biology. Like
Yeah,
it's probably all going to
Yeah,
be separated that way.
that's
I guess
still
I
this
odd.
don't mind that idea because think about it. You want to be as safe as possible. Why would you put an entire school together? If we put the entire SCM together, it'd be mayhem. So why not just have a couple hour difference so all of SCM is on the same day, but journalism goes this day, then it's TVDM goes this day at
It's
this
no,
time.
that's
So
all together is what I'm telling you, Ben, though. Like
Theater and
all of
dance is separate.
SEM is together, then it's all of Life Hall is together, basically.
well,
Okay,
also
I
because you
mean,
theater nerds are the ones that keep getting COVID. I think that's like where
I have no
everyone
comment on
keeps.
that one.
I keep
I have no
So that's
comment on
on
that
you.
one.
Stop getting COVID. So, and
I
from
have
what I've
not. I
learned
mean,
from Montclair, it's the
there would. I
theater
need to
nerds
knock
that
on
keep
wood.
restricting us because you guys keep getting COVID because theater people don't keep touching each
Okay,
other.
well, as a theater major, I will say I'm not going to deny that information. But at the same time, I have kept myself out of those classes where I know it's not happening. Because like there's
That's all well
classes,
and good that you're the good egg, but that doesn't
I know
that
I'm not.
doesn't save everyone else.
Yeah, I know. That's why I purposely there is classes because as in when you're acting and stuff, they're not going to want you to act with a mask on, and that's just the reality of that. And I opted out of all of those classes because I was like, that's not safe. This is not how we should be living through a pandemic right now. So, opted out of it. But not
Why are
everybody
your
else did
theater
that.
friends all getting COVID still? Because I've been in theater, and why does everyone have to be all close to each other too much? Too
Because
much
it's called
bubble
acting.
breaking. That's not acting. That's just uncomfortable. It's weird.
Ben, but think about it. If you're acting out a scene and you're I don't know, you're supposed to be like a romantic interest with somebody else, you're not going to be distanced across the room from
Why do we
somebody.
have romantic interests in a COVID pandemic? Why are
Because
we
school
having
has to
kissing
still
scenes?
go on, Ben.
Why is there kissing scenes of
Ben,
all
life
years?
still goes on outside the
That's
pandemic.
all
People,
well and good, but why do we have a kissing
Okay, wait,
scene?
actually, I would like
There's
you
so
to chime
many
in on this.
plays where people can be away from each other that you can just do and
All right,
like they
Ben.
can
I
no
want Issa to chime
romance
in.
scenes.
I want Issa to chime in on this too, because Issa's an actress too, and she could chime in on it too. That she knows that you have to continue going on through this. So, Issa, do you have anything to say with that?
Well, yeah, of course. I see just that during the pandemic, while, yeah, I understand, like, there are many things you could do apart. We're also social creatures. We want to be with people. We want to be close to other people. Yeah, people still
Why do you
have.
refer to us as creatures? You're all. But what the what?
What's
What are you?
wrong? We are creatures.
Why
They
are
say
we
we're creatures of
creatures
habit.
to
We're
you?
social
We're
creatures. We are living
creatures.
beings.
We're just.
We're living beings.
Are you superior to us? Because
I'm
you.
not superior to
Because
you.
you
I'm
you
calling you
creatures.
Wait a minute. So, Ben, you have a problem with this. But if we take sports into play, who have been, since the start, have been able to continue doing games and stuff, basically. I'm not going to say since the beginning, because I know it wasn't the beginning, but like baseball had pretty much a normal season last year, and they were kind of going on with like no mask and not have to worry about that kind of stuff. Football went on, they just quarantined players that like got sick, and that was it. They were still able to go on. I mean, my like whole industry right now is still completely shut down because we can't go act in a theater because that's like not good. And everybody, it goes into play a little bit about the college of like arts and like sports, and sports is always like the one that's cared about more than the arts, and that's just a fact.
One, being part of both. This is just one is the harsh truth. Two is a more real. The harsh truth is the one makes money, way more money than the other. That is the harsh truth. That one will always at this moment in time make a absorbent amount of more money at this campus, at these campuses, at most campuses, they make an absorbent more amount of money. That's just why
I'm
I
not
think
saying that
that there's
sports doesn't
more of
make
a pushed
money.
initiative to get sports back. Two, I agree with you. The handling of sports is just as bad, but the degree of things that these athletes have gone through that I've heard of and seen are a lot worse as well. So these athletes may have failed a little bit in professional to amateur, but these athletes, they even including here, can't have lives if they want to play the sport. They have to be quarantining the entire season. They can barely leave. They get tested every single day, and they're treated like basically the only human contact they have is their teammates and then on game day. They can't talk to anyone. They stay at home. They don't do anything. Like the NBA literally had a bubble where they were just stuck with each other for 4 months. Like that's just how they've been living. And the only ones that don't work are the ones that have more leniency and almost fail their seasons until they pull one of those where you guys can't have lives anymore. So on one hand, you have people that don't have lives, and two, the reason why they do it is because majority of the time they make more money. So probably the schools that are more theater prevalent will probably be opening their cash cows. It's just the cash cows. It's all about money. So the number one thing of money here is football and basketball. So that's what they're going to reopen here.
I mean, I think that's good information to know. I with the whole like money thing, obviously theater has its own economy. I wasn't even just noting theater though. I was definitely saying like arts in general, like a lot of films and stuff had to be postponed, and that's a whole like economy right there, is like film production and things like that like lost a lot of money, box office sales, things like that. That's a whole industry that was suffering as well. So I'm going to make that my final note on that. And let's just wrap up the story of whatever else updates we had yesterday, because we went off topic on that.
So I think that overall, I just want to say, I don't know why I started my sentence with I think. I was going to say that there is still the mask mandate despite all of the lifting up of certain restrictions and making things just larger. So that's still in place. And Governor Murphy also said that in the coming weeks, we could expect to hear more about reopening as as people continue to get vaccinated, because right now our coronavirus numbers are doing pretty well. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so I mean, with that, basically to wrap up, it's literally a lot of it was just like 50% capacity on like entertainment venues like stores and gyms and casinos, movie theaters. Oh, no,
Yeah.
sorry, that was not what I meant.
Yeah, no, because
I meant not.
yeah, all that stuff is still at 50%. Like
Yeah.
movie theaters, indoor dining has been at 50%. So
Yeah.
nothing is opened above 50% right now
So
in New
yeah,
Jersey.
everything is kind of raised to 50 at that point. And it was important to note too that I know Governor Murphy also tweeted yesterday that there was never really a capacity on outdoor dining. And that was something that people, I guess, were questioning because they're like, oh, we can only have a certain amount of people. It's like, as long as people are distanced, you're allowed to have your decent amount of people. There wasn't like a 50% capacity on that. And yeah, this is good stuff. I mean, last year at this time at Memorial Day, we saw opening a little bit, and the summer kind of was a little easier to get through a little bit. But then as the fall kind of approached, we saw like cases skyrocket a little bit. And so I'm hoping that this is a good sign though, because now that we have the vaccines around, and I believe the Johnson & Johnson vaccine just came back on the market as well. So hopefully this is a good sign for us.
Who is gonna get it? Who wants that?
Yeah, everybody's gonna be afraid to get the
I mean,
Johnson
I'm not
Johnson.
gonna lie, Ben. A lot
like-
of people do
That's
still
like
want
being
it
like,
because
oh, the Black Mamba's back. You can go visit it.
no, I mean, a lot of people were saying that like it's still one shot, and people like that better than having to book 2 appointments.
So they want blood clots just so they have to go.
Okay,
Yeah,
listen,
the
Oh, listen, I don't want to
CDC
go again, so I'm gonna risk
Ben,
blood clots.
Ben, it's more common to like statistically proven that it's more common to get a blood clot with COVID than it is to get a blood clot with the vaccine. It was 6 people,
That's
6
so
women,
good.
6 women, and
How
most.
lazy can one person be?
But Ben, I'm being serious that like it's statistically proven you have more likely of a shot of getting COVID and getting a blood clot with that, you know what I mean? That it's just not likely at all to like, I mean, there's a chance, sure, but there's a chance with any medication you take most of the time. If you really read the back of the label of anything, I mean, the whole thing that was going around too, during when this happened, when we first found out about this, like getting pulled, birth control is a big thing that ends up giving women blood clots.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. There were a lot of
Talk about
articles about that. And like the numbers for people getting blood clots from birth control are so much higher. I didn't even know that.
And if I may further add to that, when the decision was made by the CDC and by the council to keep this vaccine moving forward, they say the statistics were not as clear, like to see that, oh, this was directly, like the vaccine directly caused blood clots, or it was like the direct effect. This was like more something secondary. So because of that, they said they're just putting a warning label on the vaccine as opposed to completely getting rid of it. So, and plus, we don't know entirely, was this caused by the vaccine? We just see this occurrence going on. So like we're still in the early stages of seeing like, was this in fact this? Like, did we get these entire side effects from the vaccine?
Also, like a lot of
I'm
people
just
will
saying,
have
I
to
thought
get
you were going
Johnson
to
& Johnson.
continue on with the birth control. I was like, where's this conversation going? I really thought that for a second when Issa went, I'm going to add on to this, I thought we were about to go down a trail of no return.
No.
But there are some people there are people who can't get Pfizer and Moderna either because of allergies. Like Johnson & Johnson has different ingredients.
That's important to remember. And honestly, for anyone that's listening that's still kind of like skeptical about the vaccine and stuff, like honestly, the best thing is to just talk to your doctor, do your own research, things like that. You're not going to know what works best for you. Some people like Pfizer works better for them. Moderna works better for them. Johnson & Johnson, like Caitlin just said, the allergies affects a lot of people that they can't get the other two because there's different ingredients. So it's just something to keep in mind. And yeah.
We should do one of those commercials, like the way you said, contact your doctor. We should do one of those commercials where we're all in black and white. And they're like, are you tired of good old COVID? And we're all coughing. They're like, there's got to be another way. And there's like, get the vaccine. And there's like, that sometimes the vaccine causes blood clots. Contact your doctor.
And then
like
it shows like a
thing.
montage of us like walking on the beach or planting like flowers or something.
Yeah, I just want to be coughing up a lung and then just like.
Yeah, it could show
another way.
in the video. It could show like shots of like the things you did pre-COVID of like, do you want to get back to this? And in segueing in that, do you want to get back to concerts, guys? Because this is a segue to our next story with our contributor from the UK. What?
You ruined my commercial idea.
Good.
I want this guy to have full-on COVID. Like, there's got to be another way.
Anyways, because he just cut off my segue, Ben. Jawad from the UK is with us again. Hi, Jawad.
Hi everybody, how's everyone doing?
Good. I saw this story yesterday, and I thought it would be perfect to talk about with you because it actually has to do with the UK. So, no masks, no social distancing at a 4,000 strong crowd at next month's Brit Awards as the UK looks to restart live events. Now, before I even dive into this story more, do you know anything about the Brit Awards, and like any like I don't know, have you been like hearing it on the news for around you and things like that?
Personally, in regards to this, I haven't personally heard a lot about what's going to be happening at the Brit Awards in the future. It's very interesting that they'd be going through with those plans. Um, but yeah, it's I feel a lot of the big news is around other COVID related stuff still, unfortunately, and like sports related stuff.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because the whole idea with the no masks and no social distancing, and that like personally freaked me out for a second because I was like, oh, how are they doing this? And then you read into it a little bit. Obviously, the attendees will not have to distance from each other, but will have to present a negative COVID test taken before the event, and they will also be asked to take one after the show to track any potential transmissions between audience members. And this ceremony at London's O2 Arena will take place on May 11th with an audience made up of 2,500 frontline workers and another 1,500 corporate invites. So obviously the idea would be half of the crowd is going to be vaccinated already, most likely, because if they're frontline workers, most of them probably are. And the others, I don't know if they will be. I guess that's going to be the test to see if it works. And this is going to be a social experiment to see how we bring back live entertainment. So what are
Yeah,
we thinking with this?
it's essentially going to be like a guinea pig experiment, right? Like you
Yeah.
touched upon. I mean, personally, I understand people want to trying to get back to some level of normalcy. I had lunch outside at a restaurant for the first time in God knows how long yesterday for the first time, and that felt weird. But at the same time, it, it kind of depends on what kind of test they're doing as well. Like for example, it's probably similar at where you guys are. Our university offers tests like if you want to come on campus, but because they offer results quicker, for example, it could be more prone to like false results compared to other more traditional tests. And then what you have to look at what kind of is there some kind of certification that people will need to show and like all things and that. So it'll be I think a lot of eyes will be on it just to see what happens next, and what happens as a result of that will dictate what happens going forward.
Yeah, it's also just crazy to me because I know you guys were just in a way more strict of a lockdown, and this just seems like such an extreme jump. Like it's just like the complete opposite. I don't even think I'd be comfortable going somewhere without something like that without social distancing or masks. Like that seems so soon. Like I thought that would be so far off in the future.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like 0 to 100.
I feel
like
They're like, listen, we're gonna start smooth. We're gonna allow 4,000 people.
Yeah, it is a big jump. And actually, Jawada, I also was curious, how is your daily rhythm affected by COVID currently, like compared to how it was previously? Like in London, like in England, is there much of a change as far as social distancing, masks, or is everything still pretty strict? Like, how are the lockdown regulations like?
So, I mean, some businesses are still shut, like entertainment businesses, like cinemas and venues and stuff. And even like now we can finally go and eat at some restaurants, but people, they're not really letting people eat inside. It's all kind of outdoor seating, at least for the most part. Thankfully, you still see a lot of people with masks and stuff like that. But yeah, that has kind of been a more tepid change compared to just going to a concert with over 4,000 people. During the pandemic. So yeah.
I think it's also important to note that this isn't the only trial that they're trying, apparently. Other trials will see 3,000 people pack into a nightclub in Liverpool on April 30th, 5,000 people attend an outdoor concert on May 2nd, and 21,000 football fans watch the FA Cup final at Wembley Stadium on May 15th. So this is actually one of the smaller crowds if you think about it. And Yeah, I feel like saying the whole like jumping really fast, like not even trying, like let's try the mask thing first with a crowd of people and then see how that goes, and then if that goes well, then we'll take the masks off. Like I feel like this is jumping really fast, so this is interesting. I want to see the outcome of this for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for real. I do wonder if there's some kind of public appeasement kind of going on here as well. Because yeah, like everywhere, a lot of people obviously been struggling with COVID, um, and it's had a real negative impact on people's health, physically and mentally. So, uh, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. The sports side, I'm definitely not as surprised about, and but with Wembley's capacity, you'll probably stretch it out. Like, you can still have some kind of distancing. Even in the O2 arena, to be honest, you could still you have a level of distancing, but still, just at the same time, having that many people packed in one area, even if you're negative, even if you have a negative test, because last I checked, please correct me if I'm wrong. Even if you've gotten the vaccine, there's still no guarantee that you can't be a carrier of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, okay, just because I'm negative doesn't mean I can't, unfortunately, have it and pass it on to someone else.
Well, I guess that's
So,
going to be really the test to see, like, because I know a lot of that's still like unclear for a lot of people. Like, if you have it, like, can you still like carry it to someone else? Like, that's still a question in play.
yeah,
We're still doing like research on that kind of stuff, but I think that's going to be almost the test too. Because, like we said, there with with the Brit Awards, a good part of the audience is going to be healthcare workers, where we said a majority of them are probably vaccinated. It's going to be the question to see what happens there.
yeah, no, for real, and yeah, like I said before, it's definitely gonna play a part in setting in motion what happens next, and I'm sure people will bring it back to like an appraisal of our government as well and how we handled it, because that's been kind of controversial here as well, overall. Even though we've had stricter lockdowns compared to other places,
Yeah.
the
Stronger
handling
than ours.
hasn't. But the handling hasn't. It's been controversial to say the least. It hasn't been the best. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a nerve-wracking time. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to see. I understand why people would definitely want to just go back to concerts, and it's hard when you look at places like New Zealand and elsewhere, you know, where they managed it really well. You just see people at concerts, no masks, and you're like, I'm having to stay in my room and
Yeah.
like and like always making
In,
sure I have a mask when I go out, having the hand gel on me. So yeah.
in fact, I did want to ask guys, like, just like imagining here a little bit, like, let's say everything goes back to normal, or like now they lift the mask mandate, social distancing, everything. What would you say is one of the biggest things you really want to do or get back to? Because I know me personally, I really want to go to a fair or a festival.
I want to go to a
I just want to
concert.
stay home, have a nice meal at home, watch a
Ben.
movie.
Ben
Maybe
wants
a
to go
little
to a
bit.
Luke Combs
Yeah.
concert in a year. That's what he wants to do. But I want to
What?
go to a
Name
concert so
one
bad.
time I've listened to Luke Combs.
Every day. Every single day I'm with Ben.
No, yeah, I feel that what we were mentioning earlier, I think the first thing I want to get back to is a Broadway show, but I feel like that's going to be very a long road because they're
That's not
tight old
entirely true,
they're tight
Marino.
old theaters a lot of times. Like, I mean, like some theaters across the country have been executing like doing like theater with like wearing a mask or something like that, but that's not like the unique actual experience. If you
They're
go to
also
like
saying Broadway is going to be opening soon. Like they're not. Broadway is a cash cow. See, look, they're all about the money.
but
Broadway is a cash
Ben,
cow.
it's a
They're going
little
to get
harder
the.
than that too, because a lot of like shows, the backstage areas are too tight because there's not enough space for people to like actually like breathe and get changed on a normal day. Like, because that's just how they're built. They're built in these old buildings.
They're
So
built different.
I mean, it's gonna be a little hard. That's how I read a story right at the beginning of the pandemic with the cast of Moulin Rouge. 75% of the cast tested positive because one person or a few people that got like with that at the beginning of the pandemic, and they all thought it was a cold, and they were
Well,
like, okay, it's fine.
well, if that's not the spirit of
That's
theater, then I don't know what is. But the my point is that I hope they figure it out, because it's, first of all, it's not. I don't think it's too hard to just socially distance themselves. It's not too hard. even though it's a tight, confined space, just make more room. I know most of it's just gear. And if it's that narrow of a thing, you just got to learn to adapt. I think you can adapt through this. This doesn't seem like an impossible hill to climb. Don't stick to the straight and narrow of what you're super used to, because if you do that, you won't open. If you
Well-
try to go straight back to how it was, you'll never be able to open.
Well-
You have to be able to adapt the situation to be able to endure and figure it out, because you will not survive if you're stubborn.
Well,
So
But it
basically, you have
depends.
to figure it out.
There's some things you can more easily adapt than others, obviously. Like, for example, you can't really rehearse for Broadway via Zoom. Like, everyone is separate. Like, there's some ensemble things, some things that just have to be physically done
Mhm.
together. So it's impossible to sometimes physically recreate some such things, even though people try to
I
their
don't think
best
you
of
have
their
to
ability.
rehearse over Zoom, Issa. You do it, you treat it like it's a sports event.
Well,
What you do is you basically give these theater people no lives like they did to the athletes, and they have to, if they want to do this show, they can't go anywhere but their home and to the rehearsal. That's
well,
it.
that becomes a whole other debate that I'm not going to get into. The only thing I'll say of that is a lot of theater people do not make enough money to only have the job of a theater actress, unless they're one of like a star like Hugh Jackman that's supposed to be in The Music Man. Like, he makes enough money, he could do that. But like a lot of ensemble members only make
I don't think he needs to even do the play to make enough
No,
money.
I know. That's my point. But
for
I will
free.
say what you were saying, Ben, with the whole idea of like, we can't go right back to normal. It would have to be certain aspects with concerts and with theater. Well, with concerts, especially, I think what Jawad was saying earlier, Wembley, with talking about like sporting event, that's a huge venue where you could technically spread people out and such. So if you have a big venue, like you take, like we were talking about the Meadowlands earlier, like the Meadowlands or some event like that, like a giant stadium, like that, you could separate people and that will be fine. And I think that's where you're going to start. You're not going to see those smaller venues, like those, 1,500 capacity people venues opening for a little bit, because I think those are going to be tighter and harder to do. But if you're taking those bigger venues first, that might be the start. And the same thing with the theater. You take the really big, you take the bigger theaters, or you take the shows that are the tourist attractions, like Phantom of the Opera, and that's a bigger theater, the Majestic. So you work with what you have. I know
She had to incorporate that she knew what the theater title was, like 10
No, I was just
10
saying so
words
people
after.
didn't know. All
She
right.
could have placed it. It's like, it's called the Majestic.
But like, because we've already seen updates from the Phantom of the Opera company saying that they've already cut the orchestra in half. Like, it's actually a lot bigger normally, and I think they cut it down to
Like they went to the instruments and cut them in half.
No, the amount of people in the orchestra, then they cut unnecessary.
I'm sorry. I get what you're saying.
Yes. All right. But anyway, we are gonna wrap on this story because
But
Ben's gonna try to keep cutting me
No,
off.
no, no. In all seriousness, first of all, that was really funny. Second of all, in all seriousness, basically, I agree that the bigger venues should be the ones that reopen first. But my point is that there is going to be needed change. Like, you need to be able to adapt and change, because that's the thing. You guys it just sounds, from what I've heard from at least you two, is that you're just like, when theater opens, it's just going to be the exact same way it was before. And that is what sports like baseball had to learn the hard way. Because if you open just like before, you're going to get so many delays. You're going to look embarrassing. People are going to be like, just cancel you until you change. There's going to be problems. You need to adapt on the fly. Like, the first thing you do is just, what do we do to keep people away from each other, and basically make sure that, especially the cast and crew, not to get COVID, and how can we keep the audience safe? That's got to be priority number one. And if you just say we need to reopen and it stinks that we have to wait longer, then that's just going to make it worse when you do reopen, because that's more time without, making money and giving people jobs for the theater. And I think they should instantly start figuring out how to adapt so they can get back as soon as possible.
I agree.
And that's Ben's rant of the day, brought to you by None. So I'm not doing it again.
Well, thank you for that, Ben, for wrapping up that story. And yeah, we're going to take a quick break here at 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Stay tuned. We are back here at 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey, and you are listening to the Tuesday edition of the Morning Buzz. And we have a fun story from AP coming up. This is I found this story yesterday, and I think this is just hilarious because it's just one of those odd news stories, and I don't know. We're just gonna go into it. At this wedding, the bride and groom were the crashers. So Courtney Wilson and Shanita Jones invited family and friends to their dream home and estate for their weekend wedding celebrations, the ceremony Saturday and brunch on Sunday. There was just only one problem. The couple didn't own the 1,600 square foot mansion and didn't have permission to use it. 16,000, I'm sorry. The suburban Fort Lauderdale estate had everything: a bowling alley, swimming pool with a waterfall, hot tub, tennis courts, a gazebo, and an 800-foot bar. Wilson said it was God's plan that the couple marry there. So they basically crashed a person's mansion to have their wedding. What are we thinking about this?
I think that's so funny. Like reading this made me laugh because the fact that they really were like, it's God's plan, we have to have it here, and just didn't like have any paperwork or actually do anything to get it there. They were just like, it's gonna work.
Yeah, my
And, like,
question is,
this is happening.
how did they find this mansion? Did they just like,
It was
they
for
know
sale.
someone, like a friend of a friend, and they just visited it, and they're like, oh, we should totally have a wedding here, and they just decided to come one day.
It
Actually,
was on the market.
So yeah,
That's
it was.
why.
This is from AP News, so if anybody's curious, but it was actually on the market, and the one guy decided, I'm gonna go here months in advance, investigate it, and he asked about throwing a wedding, and the person said no, obviously, and he just came months later. But what's funnier to me is, like, obviously the owner called Nathan Finkel, called 911 and said, like, there's people trespassing at my house, but he hasn't pressed charges.
No, that didn't even cross my mind. Like when I read the story, and I was like, "Oh, he called the police. Yeah, makes sense." Like I didn't even consider pressing charges. It's just so funny.
Charges because so, like, in a way, like, yeah, I get it. Like, they trespass. Like, I would probably try to, like, call the police, like, and maybe file some charges, but this man just didn't file charges. Like, you had a bunch of people just in your house, and you didn't, like, file any charges. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It could be also because they were married, and maybe he just really didn't want to like make a situation worse or be that guy, and he just wanted to like wish them all the best. Maybe just he gave them a warning or something like that. Like maybe he was just a nice guy about it, or like he wasn't so upset by
Amanda, maybe that's just the power of love.
But
I'm proud of that. I don't care what all of you youngins think. That one was good. I nailed that. I did. If I Ben. Yeah. What do you think, dog? Do you think that was funny?
All right. Well, Ben reconnects with his dog. So what's even funnier about this is this was like an elaborate wedding too. The Saturday afternoon ceremony would be followed by a red carpet cocktail hour and a reception lasting past midnight. Sunday brunch would be from noon to 4. So that's the other thing. Did they, since the house was so big, did they just like all like just stay in the house? Like, you know how like usually like when you like go to a wedding, like they block out rooms in a hotel or something for you, like.
Wait, I hope that wasn't the plan because that's so much worse. That's crazy. But the thing is, like, he thought nobody was going to be home, and that made it okay in his mind.
But so for all my future party plans, I'm gonna just find a house that I really like, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, I could just like use this house because that's how that works, right?
I strongly think you should think twice before doing that. Because if you go into someone else's house and then, well, this happened before, I don't think it will work out too well for you when someone opens their door and they're like, "What are you doing
Ben,
in
did you
my
not realize
house?"
I was joking?
You don't know. That was not a joke.
I'm being
extremely
Ben.
serious, Amanda. It's about time that your jokes start to be really taken serious. I'm joking. Couldn't do it.
Man, can you imagine if we took every joke that Ben said seriously? Yikes.
I know a lot of people that do it. It makes it so much more funny. Leslie.
I am aware in this case that, like, going back to the article, that in Europe, especially, there are many like small castles or just like small estates that people would rent to have weddings in, or people would actually live in for months on end because someone needs to take care of those places because they were historical and there was really no one there. They didn't really have a museum there, so they had actually people living there. And there are many wedding venues there, of course, too. And people would rent it out for various occasions, or they would have like you could go there for a vacation. They're just like a little castle. So I know in Europe especially, like this would be popular to like have a wedding at someone's like estate, not necessarily mansion, because now mansion we think more in like modern terms, but like at someone's old estate or someone's castle. So I see that happening, but here it's a completely different situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but like at least that too, you're saying rent out. Like people were opting to like rent out a castle or rent out a house or whatever. Like this is literally people just breaking and entering into a house and saying, "Oh, we're having our wedding here."
Listen, we get our venue how we want. But what if someone actually lives there? That's just a minor adversity for us to overcome.
For anyone that was curious too, I believe this was in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So
Happy Florida man story. Yay.
Of course, it had to be Florida.
yeah, there you
Only
go.
in
It explains
Florida do people do
everything.
They should just make a show called What People Do in Florida, and I'd watch so much of that.
Yeah,
Like,
I actually
just,
could see
I
Ben
wonder
watching
what
that.
is it in their water? Is it just when you're born in Florida you lose
Their
10
water
IQ?
is pretty bad.
So you just the second you cross state lines, 10 to 15 of your IQ just leaves right out the window.
Apparently.
And then, or does it go like they're just like that?
It's an
Is it
interesting
just-
supernatural phenomenon. Let's put it at that.
Yeah, Florida and Alabama we just discredit as part of us. It's Disney World. We take Disney World and
That's
and
it.
Sweet Home
That's
and
it.
the-
Just a
and
zero.
Leonard Skinner and Sweet Home Alabama. It's the only reason we like those states.
But
Yes.
anyway, as we're wrapping up the story, Caitlin, what do we have next for our listeners?
Yes. So Amanda and I had the opportunity to sit down with Mariam Mufla and Ashley Hernandez, who are two local students. They go to high school in Clifton, New Jersey. They're seniors in high school, and they got into a bunch of Ivy Leagues and they're best friends. So it's a really interesting story, and hopefully they end up going to college together. But we sat down and talked to them for a little bit. So we're going to play that for you guys.
Here's a video clip of people that are better than us.
There's a way to put it. No, but they're so sweet.
Yeah, they were very sweet, and this was an awesome interview to sit down with Caitlin on. And so here we go.
Good morning. You're listening to the Morning Buzz on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. My name is Caitlin Aristizabal, and I'm joined by Amanda Marino. And today we're sitting down with Mariam Mufla and Ashley Hernandez. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. We're glad to have you. And for anyone that doesn't know, you two were both accepted to, 5 Ivy League colleges.
Mhm.
You're best friends, but you're also the first in your families to go to college. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Ashley was accepted into 5 schools, and I was accepted into 3. We both got into Harvard, Dartmouth, University of Pennsylvania, and Ash.
And then I also got into Yale and Brown.
That's so exciting. And like, honestly, before we even dive into any more questions today, like, I just want to know how that feels to get into the Ivy League with your best friend. And then also to know that you guys are the first in your families to go to college. Like, how does that feel? Just
Honestly, it's been a long time coming, Ash. I'm sure you can agree, but these past 4 years, and even in middle school, like it's just been continuous like schoolwork and extracurriculars, and just to see it all pay off, especially on Ivy Day, it was definitely surreal. Ash, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I guess just to add on that, the experience as a first generation student, neither of us really had the support system that many other students have when it comes to academics in college, because both of our parents are immigrants. So I guess realizing the amount of effort and energy that it took us to get to this point, it really does feel so fulfilling. And it makes our parents proud, all of their sacrifices, coming to this country as immigrants. And it just makes everything feel all the more worthwhile.
now, before we dive into the next question, though, this is something
came to me right now. Besides the Ivy Leagues, were you guys accepted to other colleges as well?
Yes, we were. Let's see, just to name off, let me see if I can recall them all. Okay, so I got into Northeastern, Wesleyan, Montclair State University, Rutgers, New Brunswick. Oh man, I can't recall them all off the top of my head. We applied to so many. But Ash, maybe you have a better grip on where you got in.
Yeah, so we actually both were accepted into Vanderbilt early. We just applied regular decision, but we were notified of our early admission through their multicultural program called Mosaic. We just got a box in the mail, and then it said Mosaic Vanderbilt class of 25 on it. And we're like, oh, what the heck? Didn't know that was going to happen. So that was a fun surprise. And we both got our boxes on the same day. So that's Vanderbilt. We both got into Northeastern Honors College. We both got into Williams College. And then from there, I got into Case Western Reserve. I also got into Johns Hopkins. And let me think. I also got into Swarthmore College as a Macabre Scholar. And yeah, that's everything I can remember off the top of my head.
Wow.
So
that's insane.
How many was that? Do you guys have a rounded estimate of like how many?
I applied to 18 schools and I got into all of them and waitlisted at Princeton and Columbia.
What, 18? Oh my, I'm trying to think how many schools I applied to. I think it was only like 10, but geez.
I don't even have the patience for 18 like applications, so I give you so
a
much
lot
credit
of
for
essays, a lot of supplementals, a lot of
essays.
Yeah, I was curious about that too, because I know especially with the Ivy Leagues, they usually require a lot of supplementals. So was there ever a point that you were just like, I already applied to maybe like 2 or 3, like I don't want to apply to any more Ivy Leagues because they're all different and you have to do different writings for them.
Mm-hmm. It's just one of the great things, Ash, I'm sure you can agree, but for the most part, all the Ivies have very, I don't know how to describe it, but like their prompts for the most part, they all resonated with me. So
they were enjoyable.
Enjoyable, yeah. Or like Harvard, for instance, they had an extracurricular prompt, and then Ash and I were involved with so many, so that one was a really easy one to write. And then also there were a lot of describe your community or something that drives you, like a lot of those types of prompts, and those were also very easy to write. So it wasn't like too hectic of an essay process, but it was just overwhelming just thinking about how many we had.
With all of that too, I mean, adding all of this of applying to like 18 colleges and stuff, and also like all these Ivy Leagues, like how did it also feel to be applying to all these colleges during the middle of a global pandemic? Because I'm sure that had some influence on how stress levels were and how like, should I even be applying to this many colleges? Like, am I even be going to school in person in the fall? Like, how did that all work for you guys?
It was definitely super overwhelming. But I feel like one of the most overwhelming parts about it, Mary, I'm sure you'd agree, was the fact that our school was fully virtual at the time. So while juggling our essays and supplements for college applications, we were also juggling our virtual schoolwork. So yeah, that was definitely something that was really fun for us to experience. But luckily we had each other to sort of navigate that whole process.
That's good. You guys got through it together. I love that. And also, I just thought of this too. Did you apply to your schools? Like, were you done by winter break or were you still applying in the spring, like January, February? Was that?
Especially for like college applications, you can never be like too confident when you click the submit button. So there was definitely like a lot of last minute editing or a lot of second doubts. But in the end, we just like stuck through it and we just submitted all of them before the deadlines.
Now, also, you guys have been friends for a while. I know me and Caitlin were discussing this. Like, did you always plan to want to go to college together? Or like, was this like a goal, like middle school goal? Like, we're going to go to college together. I guarantee it. Or was this something that you were like, maybe this could actually like work? Like, what was the thought process with all of that?
You know, we've been friends since we met in middle school, so Christopher Columbus Middle School, and it's a funny story because we always talked about, you know, the prospect of getting into any one of the Ivy Leagues, doesn't matter which, and we both knew it was a long shot. But given that, we also discussed the possibility that, you know, maybe one of us would get in and the other wouldn't, and we didn't want to limit the other, so we had always had it understood that we would be happy for each other's successes, and if we, by some miracle, did happen to get into the same school, we would that would definitely be amazing. So we planned if things worked out to go to school together.
That's so sweet. I love it. I love how it's been a goal for you guys though for a while. Like even middle school, beginning of high school, you were thinking about Ivy Leagues and stuff like that. Because I think there are a lot of people who maybe have the privilege to not think about that until later, and that's something you guys have been working towards for a while. So congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Since decision day is coming up, have you guys already decided on a school you're going to? Because I know I read a couple of articles early on when we first heard about this story, just this local story, which is why we thought it'd be really cool to talk to you. Have you decided on a school yet?
We haven't formally decided on a school yet. Like we haven't technically committed to one, but we're both leaning towards Harvard right now, because on our college checklist, it sort of hits all of the boxes. And on top of that, it just has the added benefit that we both got in. So yeah, I'm most likely considering Harvard.
So if you are going to Harvard, though, are you guys already planning to dorm together and everything?
You know, it's really funny. We always wanted to, but Harvard has a funny system with freshman doors in particular. I know sophomore year they have a tradition where you pick a group of friends that you will dorm with eventually. But for freshman year, it's pretty much randomized. You complete a survey as to your preferences and what time you wake up, if you're like a night owl or that type of stuff, and then you get paired randomly. As far as I know, there hasn't been any changes to that.
Yeah, that's a lot of colleges nowadays because they want you to meet new people. So I think that's an interesting process, but also it might be like helpful for you guys so you like don't affect your friendship in any way, if you know what I mean. And that might be a good thing too. But also out of curiosity, because I realized I never asked you, or neither did Caitlin, what are you guys planning to study?
I'm planning to study physics on the pre-med track, and then Ash.
And I'm planning on studying government.
Oh, so like I love that too. You guys are different in that way too of your majors too. So that's awesome. And I love that. That's awesome. That's great. And yeah, I mean, I wish the best of luck to you both. This is super exciting. And I'm so like, it's honestly just an accomplishment to just say I got into all these Ivy Leagues. That's incredible. And you both worked so hard. So congratulations to both of you. Hopefully we'll be hearing an actual decision from you too soon. If it's Harvard, best of luck there. And thank you for everyone for tuning into this edition of the Morning of Buzz here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, New Jersey.